Alison Golden is a murder mystery writer who splits her life either side of the pond. Born in Bedfordshire but living mainly in San Francisco, she's written a number of series of books, including the Inspector David Graham mysteries and Roxy Reinhardt stories. She's also a USA Today best-selling author. Well, Alison's books are wonderful mysteries that won't scare you to death if you like the archetypal cozy mysteries. I'm delighted to be able to welcome Alison to the programme. Alison, a very good morning to you from San Francisco Bay.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Your books are cozy mysteries, aren't they? What is it that we love, particularly maybe the British, about a cozy mystery?
Well, cozy is in the book world has certain criteria, which is it's not sweary, it's not sexy, it's not gory, and it's a small town mystery or a small community mystery, typically, and the sleuth is an amateur. So that's why we talk about Miss Marple as being a cozy mystery, because it fits all three of those criteria. And I have what I would call two definitive cozy mystery series, and then I have a third, which is my Inspector Graham series, which you touched on there, which technically isn't, because he's a police detective. But when I've polled my readers, they go, absolutely, it's cozy, you know. And so cozy does go beyond that technical description. There is this sense that we are not going to be shocked, revolted, horrified. We're not going to get nightmares. And at the end, justice will be served. And I think there's going into the mystery, when you know that, you can feel very safe. And I'm actually very explicit. I say none of my recurring characters will be killed off. You don't need to worry about that. And we also don't know the victim very well, which is, you know, another part of the cozy genre. They appear dead in the first chapter, something like that. We don't have a long history behind them. So the readers tend to get very invested in the characters. They're like real people to them. They become their friends. I've had readers say they fall in love with my characters. I have had a reader recently say, I can't read the last book of my Annabelle Dixon series because I'm not ready to let her go. And I also noticed that during COVID, I have a thriller series, which is a lot more edgy, and people didn't want that. They wanted the cozy. That's what they were asking me to write. And so that's what I did, because they wanted to feel safe in their reading and have this very soft, gentle, relaxing experience.
As a child, you were very much into reading, weren't you? And I think you very much loved Enid Blyton, the famous Five series. Yeah. Are you taking some aspects of that into the writing you're doing these days?
Yes, I think so. I mean, I often don't notice that. It's almost my readers will tell me. So my readers will say they are Agatha Christie-esque. And that's not a deliberate thing on my part. It's just that I read Enid Blyton and then I moved on to Agatha Christie, and I, you know, read every book that I could that they'd ever written. And it just sort of, you know, you by osmosis almost, you absorb that, the essence of those mysteries. And then they come out later when you're writing. It's not a conscious thing. I don't deliberately do it, but it's there. It's there in the author's psyche, I think.
When you're writing a series, do you purposely finish one series before you then create another set of characters? Or can you work, if you like, in tandem, producing books for 2, 3, maybe 4 series?
Yes, I wish I could write linearly and start one series and finish it and start another, but I can't. I started 3 series in one go when I first started writing. I thought one of these will work and the other 2 will die a death, and that didn't happen. And so I actually write in rotation, and typically I like to have 2 series, but I've often got 3 series on the go. So I write, one book in one series, one book in the next, and then one book in the third, and then back to the beginning again. That's how I like. It gives me novelty. I am going back to Jersey or Cornwall or New Orleans to see what the characters have done since I was last there and what they're going to do for the next, book. So it's like revisiting old friends, and I enjoy writing in that way.
It's only us, obviously. So do you have a favourite?
A favorite? Well, no, not really. That would be like saying which one of my children's my favorite. They all have they're all parts of me, actually. There's various elements of me in the different characters, and I love Annabelle. I really love Annabelle, and I often love the minor characters in some of the series. So one of my favorite is Constable Barnwell in the Inspector Graham series. He's not the major character, obviously, but he's an integral part of the team, and he's very beloved in my mind. And they all go on growth journeys. They all go on their personal journeys, and that's what the readers love. They love to see, okay, did he lose the weight and keep it off? That kind of thing. And is Janice going to make it up the aisle or not? So that's what it is. It is true. Readers they come for the stories, but they stay for the characters.
It's characterization that really makes your books, isn't it? It's not the drama, it's not the death, it's not the destruction, it's the depth of characters. And there's a certain skill to be able to not only create those characters, but maintain them in a logical way of life that they would if they were real.
Absolutely. And I think, a lot of people ask me if I base my characters on anybody in particular, and it's almost always no. But what it is me, who has spent nearly 60 years observing people. It isn't at all difficult for me to go, okay, this sort of person in this situation would react like this, because I've spent my life in various situations, observing and watching and studying. It's been a natural interest of mine. And so, when it comes to developing those characters, seeing where they go, it just comes naturally to me. And I will just sit down and go, okay, Graham, how are things going? And just ask him questions, and he'll tell me, and then I write them down.
Roxy Reinhardt is based in New Orleans with her cat, a wonderful white Persian cat.
Yeah.
Inspector Graham is very much based in the UK. Do you have to be in a different mindset when you're approaching each?
No, I wouldn't say I have a different mindset. I do a lot of research beforehand. I do get it. I do, especially with the New Orleans, and I have this thriller series that's set in Canada. I do a lot of research into the area, because that's not as natural for me. I grew up in the UK. I'm very familiar with Jersey. I'm very familiar with Cornwall. I'm very familiar with English country village life. Whereas I'm a transplant here, and so I have to do a bit more research into the characters and how they would operate in their locale. And also very much specifics about New Orleans or Vancouver, as in the thriller series. But with the internet, it's easy. I was writing my Diana series, and they have the SkyTrain in Vancouver, which is how they travel. And I had a terrorist on the SkyTrain, and I had to describe the journey. I wanted to describe the journey, and I actually found a video on YouTube of someone who just sat at the back from the station that my terrorist was going to, taking a video of the journey from the back of the carriage all the way to the stadium, which was where he was going. And so it was perfect. I just sat and watched this video for 20 minutes, and then I could describe the journey. So, it's not so difficult these days.
Your readers are extremely important to you. I know that might be an obvious thing to ask an author, but in this day and age with social media, with interaction, you blog on your website.
Yeah.
That must bring you and the readers so much closer together.
Yes, and I've always made it a priority. You know, when I was starting, I thought, well, I'll convert, one reader at a time to my books, and it's still one of my core principles is to reply to every email I receive. I actually try and restrict my activities to writing books, doing some marketing, like this kind of thing, and reader communications, because I think it's so important. And so I have various levels of readers. So I have newsletter subscribers, and then I have different teams within that group of subscribers, which I have different relationships with. And then, of course, the wider readership, many of whom I would never meet or contact, but who know me through my website, know me through the blog, know me through Facebook, social media. And I hope they get a sense of me, because I think, going back to the trust thing of cozy mysteries, it's important to trust that the author is going to keep you safe. You need to trust that that person understands what your priorities are as a reader and meets them. And so I do talk to my readers about what they want. I'll often ask them, well, what do you want me to write next? Which is how I knew they wanted the cozy during COVID. And then before books are published, I will send them out to the team that I've got that check that kind of thing, make sure that they're satisfied, that it finishes in a way that makes them feel good, and meets the criteria, so that when I publish a book, I know it's going to meet the market need, what the readers want.
Alison, I know that a number of my listeners are avid bookworms, and I'm sure if they don't know of you already, they'd love to find out more. What is the easiest way for them to find out more information about you?
I think the easiest way is to go to my website, which is alisongolden.com. It's very simple, and it's Alison with one L and Golden as in Golden Gate. And then you can actually sign up. And if you sign up, you will receive 4 books, the beginning books in my series, prequels and first books of my 4 series, for free in ebook form. And you can try my books before you've bought anything. And of course, the books are for sale on Amazon, and most of them are inaudible. We're in the process of getting through all of them.
Alison Golden, thank you so much for joining us on the programme this morning. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we look forward to the next book. What are you working on at the moment?
Right now, I'm working on my Diana series, which is the thriller series set in Canada. And I'm trying to get that finished because it's kind of explosive, and people want to find out what happens. And then I will be going back to Jersey for Inspector Graham, see what they're up to.
Alison Golden, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.